All right, ready first, and welcome to podcast 6.3, where we're going to talk about purpose, how you as a commander here in the Ready First Brigade develop that purpose. Let's review. We started with podcast 6.1, talking about the critical path of leadership, establishing standards, working on trust, candor, developing purpose, and communicating to your organization. Then we sat down with Ready 7 on podcast 6.2, where we discussed how to apply the critical path of leadership at the platoon and company level. And now today we're going to talk about purpose, how to develop it, how to communicate it. And by the end of this, you're going to have the ability to do a self-assessment, establish vision, communicate that vision, and counsel your subordinates based on their performance and their achieving what you want to do as a commander here in the Ready First Brigade. So let's get after it. First thing I want you to do as a company commander in Ready First, I want you to visualize perfection. In your mind, what is the perfect company? Take about 5, 10, 30, however long you need to visualize what the perfect company is. And then you can also do this with your platoon leaders. They would determine what the perfect platoon is. And then once you have that in your mind's eye, I need you to then go ahead and say, what are the components or the performance areas that will enable that perfection? Once you do that, I want you to go to your chart here. It says performance areas, acceptable, perfection, and then who has the lead. So performance areas, we're going to take a very simple one, and that's PT, or physical readiness. So once you've done that, you take physical readiness, you can go lethality, you can go maintenance, whatever the performance areas that you want to measure in your company to attain perfection, go ahead and list them out. And then once you do that, I want you to identify what would be the perfect company's response to that performance area. So physical readiness, just to make it very simple, let's say we want a 300 average in the company. And I want you to do that for each of your performance areas. Once those are set, I want you to put it down. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or 24 hours, and then come back to it and ask yourself this question. If 300 is perfection, what's acceptable to me? As a company commander, what's acceptable to you? What's acceptable for each of the performance areas? And you just go down the list. So for instance, for 300 average, perhaps acceptable is 285. That you're willing to accept a 285 PT average across your company. And then you go through. You know, for lethality, maybe it's you want all experts. For training, you want all Ps and 2 Ts, and those Ts better be in mission command and offense. What are they? What's acceptable to you as a leader? And then again, I want you to put it down for 20 to 30 minutes and then come back and say, why was 285 acceptable? Why wasn't it 286? Why wasn't it 290? Why isn't it 275? And then you move this left and right until you feel comfortable with that mark on the wall. And you do that for each of your performance areas. Once you're complete, I want you then to solicit feedback from your first sergeant, your platoon sergeants, your platoon leaders, and then you pitch. You say, listen, these are the performance areas. This is what I consider perfection, and this is what I think 285 where we need to be, or 280, or whatever you decide. And then you do something that leaders all too often forget. You close your mouth and listen. And you get feedback. And the first sergeant may say, currently our average is 260, and I believe that it's acceptable for us to get up to a 280. And as you get that mark on the wall, and you get it honed in about right, you set it. And you set it as an organization, both with feedback and with an understanding of the capabilities and limitations of your organization. Remember, if you're setting purpose or end state, you have to understand the science of your trait. So what are the capabilities? What are the limitations of your organization? And then you set reasonable and achievable goals. And you do that for each one of the performance areas. And then something magic's going to happen. Someone in that group is going to say, sir, I agree with all those performance areas, or ma'am, but you forgot a couple. So I want you to draw a line. And then list them. All of the areas that they bring up. And then do the same drill. What's perfection? What's acceptable? Now, everything below the line, you as a leader are not going to be naturally drawn to. Okay? Everything above the line, you will be. So when it comes time to check or focus, you're going to be concentrated above the line. So you need to put something in place that's going to allow your chain of command to brief you or bring you up to speed on everything below the line, because you're not naturally drawn to those subjects. Now, once this is set, and everyone has given their input, and you as the leader have made a decision, because it's your vision, it's your purpose, you've made a decision, this is what's acceptable, you now have an incredible document. You have a self-assessment, because now you know where you naturally focus and where you're going to need some help. You have a document that's going to lay out your vision or end state. And it kind of gives your organization a roadmap of how to attain one step closer to perfection and allow you to communicate this. It's a standalone document. And then every month or every quarter, depending on who you're counseling, you can bring those people in and say, all right, where are you in achieving a 280 PT average? Where are you in becoming more lethal and meeting our standards? Where are you at getting our maintenance percentage at 90% operational readiness? So this one document is self-assessment, vision, communication, and counseling. And there's one last thing that you got to do as a leader. You got to come over here, you got to assign responsibility. So let's say for physical readiness, you're holding the platoon sergeants accountable. So they have to come back and brief you on what their plan is to accomplish this 280. And you do that for each one, so that this incredible tool, now you've pinned the rose on someone in your organization, and she's going to come back and brief you on what the plan is at the lower echelons to accomplish what is acceptable to you. And if they falter, if they're not meeting the acceptable standard, then you know you need to work on them. And I'd say that you need to work on the critical path of leadership, focused on standards. Do they understand your standard? Have they established trust in their organization? Are they being candid? Have they established their own purpose? And have they communicated both up and down to achieve success? And this really brings the critical path of leadership full circle in your organization. If you do this, I guarantee you will know more about yourself, articulate a clear vision, communicate effectively, and you'll be able to counsel your subordinates to achieve what you want them to achieve as their company commander. Ready first.